Well, so I just want to say thank you for joining us in the morning, taking time out of your schedule. And I'd like to ask you a question. One of the two topics that I came up with is how do you identify and eliminate stress from your life?
Hey, good morning, Sean. How you doing? That's a
Good,
good
good.
question because daily living can be a little bit of stressful. Can be a
Yes.
little stressful at time and stuff. And I was thinking about that question because I got your text yesterday, and I was doing a little bit of notes this morning, writing on a little bit, and it's all about taking action. And acquiring knowledge is pretty easy. You know, we can go to a podcast, we can listen to something, we go to YouTube, we can read a book, we can go to a seminar, we can get all this knowledge. You know, there's so much knowledge, information around there. We don't have a shortage of information, but to put it to use and to actually use it is a different story. So there's all kinds of different ways to do it. You know, where should we begin? You know, should we begin on when we get up in the morning, the night before? I don't know. What do you think?
Stress, I think the main thing is just being able to identify what's causing stress in the first place, and then properly taking the steps to the process of eliminating that stress or how to deal with that stress. If that stress is something that has to do with something that has to take place in my life, I have to go ahead and find some mechanism to deal with that stress, whether it's meditation, um, prayer, um, exercise, or it just might be something that a toxic person is completely stressing me out. So I'm gonna go ahead and limit that time to the utmost minimal to eliminate that stress that I don't need in my life.
Yeah, a good point. You know, because when we think about it, normally, you know, we have the physical, our body, or our biochemistry, or you know, our muscles, or our digestive system, all that. You know, sleep. That all has to do with our physical. We have our spiritual, you know, our contact with God or the earth or fellow other beings. And we have our mental, you know, like three different stools, three legs on a stool, you know. We take one leg out, we're going to tip over and stuff. So I guess when I get stressed, I got to really look at it and say, okay, well, what am I afraid to lose? You know, why am I stressful? Okay, am I stressful because I am afraid that I'm not going to look good? You know, like maybe doing a podcast and stuff. You know, I want to look good. Am I stressful with that? Am I stressful because I think something's not going to happen the way I think it should be? Maybe I won't get enough money from somebody, or maybe a girl won't like me. I'm married, and you know that's different these days and stuff. You know, so then when I if I can take a look at why, I guess that's the first step. But let me ask you this. Now, focusing and trying to figure something out, what's causing my stress,
Mhm.
could that actually be adding to the problem?
Yes, because you're sitting there thinking about it, and what if, you're gonna go ahead and be obsessed with the fear, play the tape in your head over and over. So, like you were mentioning initially, I think identifying the stress and taking the appropriate action. Action, I think, is the key word that you were alluding to earlier in dealing with that specific stress. in your life?
Mhm. Yeah. You know, because myself, let me just for like this morning, I got up, I did my um a little meditation, a little bit of prayer, stuff like that. I went over and checked on a job that was going on. I needed to talk to a client. I spoke with my wife and had a conversation with my wife, and I'm doing these things. And of course, things don't always go the way there's what we think they're going, how we think they're going to go, right? And so at 8 o'clock, I knew that I was a little bit hungry and I was anxious, right? Sometimes I may be anxious and I'll call it stress, you know, like I may be a little despondent, little bit blue or a little bit sad, and I'll think I'm depressed and stuff, So that's a different thing about what I call myself or whatever. But so at 8 o'clock, well, I knew I needed to want to calm down a little bit because we're going to do this little podcast. So I ate a couple of eggs and a little bit of yam. So I got some food in me. Okay. So I wasn't too hungry. Okay. And then I made a phone call to a client because I wanted to get that squared away before we did this, podcast. Then I came down here and logged on, and we went through everything, and I started calming down. So you were saying action. They say action is the magic word. And also, too, this HALT. We don't want to get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Because when any of that stuff goes, then I'm more prone to be stressed. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Some more than the others. I'm very hypersensitive towards situations as well as my surroundings. So I pick up on the vibe very easily, and it affects my body sometimes in a negative, sometimes in a positive. Mm-hmm. So it has its up and downs, being hypersensitive and space oriented, Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a challenge.